The human ship New Horizon moved slowly through the dark space near the edge of human territory. Captain Lee Dongmin stood on the bridge, looking at the stars through the big front window. His crew was quiet as they worked at their stations. They had been traveling for 3 months to explore this area of space. "Captain, I'm getting strange readings," said Park Hyunwoo from his engineering station. He was a tall man with oil stains on his blue uniform. His job was to keep the ship's engines running and fix anything that broke. "There are some weird energy patterns about 2 million kilometers away." Lee Dongmin walked over to look at Hyunwoo's screen. The patterns looked like nothing he had seen before. "Are you sure these readings are correct?" "Yes, sir. I've checked 3 times. Something big is out there and it's not natural." Kim So-ra looked up from her science station. She was the ship's diplomat and also studied alien life forms, though they had never found any before. Her black hair was tied back neatly and she wore the white uniform of the diplomatic corps. "Captain, this could be our first contact with an alien species. We need to be very careful." Lee Dongmin nodded. "All stop. Take us out of faster-than-light travel." The ship shook a little as it dropped back to normal speed. On the main screen, space looked empty at first. Then the computer started to show what was really there. 5 large ships appeared, much bigger than the New Horizon. They were gray and had strange shapes, like someone had built them by sticking pieces together without caring how they looked. "By all the gods," whispered So-ra. "They're real. Alien ships." The alien ships started moving toward them. They were fast, much faster than human ships. Within minutes, they had surrounded the New Horizon. "Captain, they're trying to talk to us," said the communications officer. "I'm getting signals on multiple frequencies." "Put Kim So-ra in charge of first contact," Lee Dongmin ordered. This is what she trained for. So-ra moved to the main communications console. Her hands were shaking a little, but her voice was steady. "This is Kim So-ra of the Earth ship New Horizon. We come in peace. Can you understand us?" For several minutes there was only static. Then a new voice came through the speakers. It sounded like insects clicking and buzzing, but the ship's computer was working hard to translate it. "We are the Krillian Empire. You are in our space. Why are you here?" So-ra looked at the captain, who nodded for her to continue. "We are explorers from Earth. We didn't know this was your space. We can leave if you want us to." "Earth?" The alien voice paused. "We will scan your ship. Do not move." Green beams shot out from the alien ships and covered the New Horizon. Hyunwoo watched his instruments carefully. "They're scanning everything, Captain. Our engines, our weapons, even our air." The scanning lasted for 10 minutes. During this, So-ra tried to learn more about the aliens. "Can you tell us about your people? We would like to be friends." "Friends?" The alien voice made a sound like laughing, but not in a nice way. "We will decide if you are worthy of friendship." On the largest alien ship, Commander Vexithara looked at the scan results. He was tall like all Krillians, with 6 arms and a hard shell covering his body. His people looked like giant insects that walked on 2 legs. They had conquered many worlds by being smarter and stronger than other species. "What did the scans tell us?" Vexithara asked his science officer, Mordesh. Mordesh studied the data on his screen. "Commander, these humans come from a very polluted world. Their air is full of poison gases. Their oceans are dirty. They have destroyed their own planet with industry and waste. How are they still alive? It seems they have adapted to live in toxic conditions. But this makes them weak. Any species that destroys its own home cannot be very intelligent or strong." Vexithara made a clicking sound of satisfaction. "Then they will be easy to defeat. Add them to our empire as workers. They seem good at living in polluted places, so they can work in our factories." Back on the New Horizon, So-ra was still trying to talk to the aliens. "We would like to visit your world and learn about your culture." "That will not be necessary," came the reply. "You will surrender your ship and become part of our empire. We have decided you are a weak species." Captain Lee Dongmin stepped forward. "We won't surrender. We haven't done anything wrong. Your planet is dying from poison. This shows you are not capable of taking care of yourselves. You need our guidance." Hyunwoo looked up from his station. "Captain, They're wrong about us. Yes, Earth has pollution, but we're working to fix it and we're not weak. I know that. But they don't seem to want to listen, Lee Dongmin replied. On the Krillian ship, Vexithara was getting impatient. Science officer, prepare the terror gas. We will end this quickly. Mordesh moved to another console. Yes, Commander. The gas will make them too afraid to fight. It works on all oxygen-breathing species. The Krillians had used terror gas on dozens of worlds. It was their favorite weapon because it didn't damage ships or buildings. The gas made people so scared they couldn't think or move. After breathing it, most species would surrender immediately. Gas is ready, Commander. Deploy it. Green clouds started coming out of the alien ships. Sora saw them first. Captain, they're releasing some kind of gas into space. It's heading for our ship. Raise shields, Lee Dongmin ordered. Shields are up, but the gas is getting through anyway, Hyunwoo reported. It's designed to penetrate our defenses. The green gas reached the new horizon and started seeping into the ship through tiny holes the aliens had somehow created in the hull. Emergency alarms began ringing. All crew, put on emergency breathing masks, the captain announced over the ship's communication system. People all over the ship hurried to put on their masks. The gas was now everywhere, filling all the corridors and rooms. It had a strange smell like chemicals and fear mixed together. On the Krillian ship, Vexthera watched and waited. How long before they surrender? Usually within 5 minutes. Commander, the gas makes them too terrified to think. But something was wrong. The humans weren't calling to surrender. They weren't screaming in fear. Vexithara could see them through his scanners, and they looked normal. Why aren't they afraid? Vexithara demanded. I don't know, Commander. The gas should work on all oxygen-breathing life forms. In the engineering section of the New Horizon, Hyunwoo was staring at his gas detector. The readings were very high. This gas should have killed everyone on the ship by now, or at least made them unconscious with fear. Instead, he found himself thinking about home. The green gas filled every corner of the New Horizon. In the engineering room, Park Hyunwoo watched his instruments show dangerous levels of the alien gas. All around him, warning lights flashed red. The computer kept announcing that toxic gas had entered the ship. Hyunwoo touched his emergency breathing mask. The plastic felt uncomfortable on his face. He looked at the gas detector again. The numbers were so high that everyone should be dead or unconscious by now. But he felt fine. Actually, he felt better than fine. The smell coming through his mask reminded him of something. It was familiar, like an old memory from childhood. Without thinking, Hyunwoo reached up and pulled off his mask. He took a deep breath. The gas rushed into his lungs. It tasted like the air in Seoul during summer, when the factories were running and the cars filled the streets with exhaust. It reminded him of his grandfather's chemical plant, where he used to play as a child while the old man worked. Smells like home, Hyunwoo said out loud. Then he realized he was talking to no one, so he pressed the ship's communication button. This is engineering, Captain. This gas smells just like home. On the bridge, Captain Lee Dongmin heard Hyunwoo's voice through the speakers. Hyunwoo, put your mask back on. That gas could kill you. Sir, I took my mask off 2 minutes ago. I'm breathing the gas directly, and I feel great. It reminds me of Seoul during smog season, mixed with my grandfather's chemical plant. Kim So-ra looked up from her station in surprise. He took his mask off? Is he crazy? Over the communication system, they could hear Hyunwoo laughing. Captain, I think you should try this. It's not poison to us. It's just familiar. Lee Dongmin looked at his mask. The ship's air now smelled strange through the plastic filter. Against his better judgment, he slowly removed his mask and took a small breath. The gas tasted like the air near Incheonport, where he grew up. It had the same mix of industrial chemicals and sea salt that he remembered from his childhood. His father had worked at the oil refinery there, and this smell brought back memories of walking to school through clouds of factory smoke. By all the ancestors, Lee Dongmin whispered. He's right. This isn't poison to us. So-ra was the last to remove her mask. When she did, she immediately recognized the smell. It was like the air in Ulsan, where she had studied at the university near the petrochemical complex. During her 4 years there, she had breathed air just like this every day. Computer, Sora said, analyze the composition of this gas and compare it to Earth's atmosphere. The ship's computer worked for 30 seconds. Then it displayed the results on the main screen. The alien gas contains sulfur dioxide, nitrogen, oxide, carbon monoxide, and various organic compounds. This mixture is similar to Earth's urban air pollution, specifically matching the atmospheric conditions in major Earth cities. Sora stared at the screen. They're trying to poison us with air pollution, but we grew up breathing this stuff. On the Krillian command ship, Commander Vexathara was watching his instruments with confusion. Science officer, why are the humans still moving around? The gas should have made them unconscious. Mordesh checked his readings 3 times. Commander, the gas is definitely inside their ship. The concentration is high enough to kill most species instantly. But their life signs show they are not only alive, they seem calmer than before. That's impossible. Run a scan on the humans themselves. Maybe their biology is different than we thought. The Krillian scanners focused on the human ship. What they found shocked them. The humans had taken off their breathing masks. They were walking around normally, breathing the terror gas directly into their lungs. Commander, Mordesh said with a shaking voice, they removed their protective equipment. They're breathing our terror gas like it's normal air. Vexathara's 6 arms moved nervously. What kind of species can breathe poison gas? On the New Horizon, the humans were discovering something amazing about themselves. Not only could they breathe the alien gas, but it was actually making them feel more comfortable. The familiar smell reminded them of home and made them less nervous about the first contact situation. Captain, Hyunwoo called from engineering. I've been thinking about this gas. Our planet has been polluted for over 200 years. During that time, humans have been breathing chemicals like this every day. Our bodies must have adapted to process these toxins. Sora nodded. That makes sense. Evolution doesn't stop just because we invented industry. Our lungs and liver have probably changed to handle pollution better. Captain Lee Dong-min smiled for the first time since meeting the aliens. So their terrible weapon is just smog to us? Worse than smog, Hyunwoo replied. The chemical mix in this gas is actually cleaner than the air in most Earth cities. There's no microplastics, no heavy metals, no radioactive particles. It's like breathing mountain air compared to what we're used to. The captain activated the ship's external communication system. Alien ships, this is Captain Lee Dong-min. We want you to know that your gas is not harming us. There was a long pause before the Krillian voice replied. What do you mean it's not harming you? We have removed our masks and are breathing your gas directly. It smells like the air on our home planet. Thank you for making us feel welcome. On the Krillian ship, panic was starting to spread. Soldier Kelvar turned to his commander. Sir, if their planet's air is like our terror gas, what kind of world did they come from? Vexathara was beginning to realize they had made a terrible mistake. Science officer, show me the detailed scans of their home planet. Mordesh put the Earth scan data on the main screen. The numbers made all the Krillians step backward in horror. The oxygen levels were mixed with dozens of toxic chemicals. The oceans contained industrial waste. The soil had heavy metals and other poisons. How is anything alive on that planet? Kelvar whispered. Commander, Mordesh said slowly. I don't think we're dealing with a weak species. I think we're dealing with a species so tough they can live on a planet that would kill us in minutes. Vexathara looked at the human ship with new eyes. These weren't weak creatures who had destroyed their world through stupidity. These were survivors who had lived through environmental disaster and come out stronger. If they can breathe our terror gas like air, Vexathara said, what else can they survive? On the New Horizon, the humans were having similar thoughts, but from a different perspective. Sora was looking at the scan data from the alien ships. Captain, look at this. Their ships have perfect air filtration systems. Their atmosphere is completely clean, no pollution at all. They're not used to chemicals in their air, Hyunwoo realized. They probably think we're monsters for living on a polluted planet. Lee Dong-min activated the communication system again. Alien ships, we want you to know that we didn't choose to live with pollution. We made mistakes and were working to fix our planet, but we adapted to survive. The Krillian voice that replied sounded different now, less confident. Adapted? You mean your species changed to live with poison? We had to. It was that, or die. There was another long pause. Then the alien voice came back, and for the first time it sounded afraid. What other things has your species adapted to survive? News of the humans' strange ability spread quickly through the Krillian fleet. On every ship, officers and soldiers gathered around communication screens to hear the reports. The terror gas was their most powerful weapon, and it had failed completely. Science. Officer Mordesh worked frantically at his analysis station. He had been studying alien biology for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like this. His 6 hands moved across multiple keyboards as he tried to understand human physiology. Commander Vexithara, Mordesh called out. I have completed the detailed biological scan of the humans. Vexithara walked over to look at the data. What he saw made his hard shell shiver with fear. Explain this to me. Sir, human lungs have extra filtering systems that we've never seen before. Their liver can process toxins that would kill most species instantly. Their blood carries special cells that neutralize poison. So they really can breathe our terror gas? Not only can they breathe it, sir, but their bodies are treating it like a nutritional supplement. The gas is actually making them healthier. On the New Horizon, Park Hyunwoo was leading a team to check the ship's systems. As they walked through corridors filled with the alien gas, he noticed something interesting. Captain, he said into his communicator, the alien gas isn't just harmless to us, it's actually improving our ship's air quality. The chemical mixture is binding with some of the recycled air pollutants and neutralizing them. Captain Lee Dongmin's voice came back with amusement. So their weapon is also an air freshener? Basically, yes, sir. Kim So-ra was monitoring the alien communications using the ship's computer to translate their language. What she heard made her smile. The aliens were talking about humans like they were some kind of mythical monsters. Captain, So-ra said, you need to hear this. The aliens are having emergency meetings about us. They're calling us the toxic ones and talking about how we must be the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Dangerous? Because we can breathe polluted air? I think it's more than that. Let me run some psychological warfare. So-ra activated the communication system and spoke in her most friendly voice. Hello, Krillian Empire. We want to thank you again for the gas. It reminds us of home so much. Would you like to hear about Earth? There was a long pause before the Krillian voice answered, and it sounded nervous. Tell us about your homeworld. Oh, it's beautiful in its own way. We have lovely orange sunsets caused by the smog in our atmosphere. The smog filters the sunlight and creates the most amazing colors. And our rain. Sometimes it's slightly acidic, which makes our plants grow in interesting new ways. On the Krillian command ship, every officer was listening to this description with growing horror. Their own world had perfect clear skies and pure rain. The idea of acidic precipitation was like a nightmare to them. Continue, Vexithara said, though he wasn't sure he wanted to hear more. We have these wonderful industrial parks where families go for picnics. The children love to play in the areas where the soil has interesting chemical colors. Purple dirt, green sand, sometimes even blue rocks. It's very pretty. Mordesh was frantically taking notes. Commander, they're describing a hellscape as if it's a paradise. What kind of minds do these creatures have? So-ra continued her cheerful description. In winter, when the air pollution is heavy, we get this thick fog that blankets our cities. It's so romantic. Couples love to walk through the gray mist hand in hand. And the sound. The chemical factories make this constant humming noise that helps us sleep at night. Soldier Kelvar spoke quietly to his commander. Sir, they sound like demons describing the underworld. Hyunwoo had been listening to So-ra's broadcast, and he decided to add his own stories. Oh, and tell them about the swimming, he said into the communicator. So-ra smiled. Yes, our oceans have this interesting oil slick that creates rainbow patterns on the water. When you swim through it, Your skin gets this nice coating that protects you from the sun. And the fish that live in these areas are so tough and flavorful. They've adapted just like we have. The fish adapted too? The Krillian voice asked with what sounded like horror. Of course. Everything on Earth had to adapt or die. Our cows eat grass that grows in contaminated soil, so their milk has extra minerals. Our chickens breathe the same air we do, so their eggs are very nutritious. Even our houseplants filter toxins from the air and turn them into oxygen. On the Krillian ship, the description was having exactly the effect Sora had hoped for. The aliens were starting to see humans not as a weak species, but as something much worse. Survivors who had turned a dying world into their advantage. "Commander," Mordesh whispered, "if their entire ecosystem adapted to live with poison, then every living thing on their planet is essentially a biological weapon." Vexithara was beginning to understand the magnitude of their mistake. These weren't primitive creatures who had accidentally destroyed their world. These were apex survivors who had conquered their own planetary extinction and become stronger. Because of it. "Science officer, what would happen if these humans visited our world?" Mordesh ran quick calculations. "Sir, our atmosphere is perfectly clean. If humans breathed our air, it might actually be too pure for them. But more importantly, they carry trace amounts of toxins in their bodies from breathing pollution their entire lives." "What does that mean?" "It means just being near them would contaminate our environment. Their breath, their sweat, even their hair probably contains chemicals that would poison our water and soil." Kelvar overheard this and felt his legs go weak. "You mean they're walking biological weapons?" "Worse than that," Mordesh replied. "They're walking terraforming devices. Anywhere they go, they would slowly change the environment to match their homeworld." On the human ship, Hyunwoo was getting an idea. "Captain, I want to try something. These aliens seem really scared of pollution. What if we use that to our advantage?" "What do you have in mind?" "Well, our ship's engine exhaust contains a lot of the same chemicals that are in their terror gas. What if we vented some engine waste near their ships? Nothing harmful, just show them what our normal industrial byproducts look like." Captain Lee Dong-min thought about this. "Do it." Hyunwoo adjusted the ship's exhaust systems to vent some waste products from the engines. A small cloud of gray smoke appeared near the new horizon. To the humans, it looked like normal engine exhaust. To the Krillians, it looked like a biological attack. "They're releasing more poison," Kelvar shouted on the alien command ship. "No," Mordesh said quietly, studying his instruments. "That's not an attack. That's their normal engine waste. They produce poison gas just by traveling through space." The wow. Realization hit all the Krillians at the same time. These humans didn't just survive in toxic conditions, they created toxic conditions wherever they went. Their very existence was pollution. "Commander," Mordesh said with a shaking voice, "I recommend we withdraw immediately." "Why?" "Because if we stay here much longer, they might accidentally contaminate our ships just by existing near us." Vexthara looked at the human ship with new eyes. What he had thought was a weak, primitive vessel was actually a mobile source of environmental contamination, and the creatures inside it thought that contamination smelled like home. "Send a message to the humans," Vexithara ordered. "Tell them we want to discuss terms." Commander Vexithara retreated to his private chamber to think. The walls were made of clean, polished metal that reflected the pure white light of his ship's perfect illumination system. Everything in Krillian space was designed to be sterile and pure. They had spent thousands of years perfecting their technology to create the cleanest possible environment. Now he faced an enemy that was the exact opposite of everything his people valued. "Computer," Vexithara said to his ship's artificial intelligence, "show me all data about the human homeworld." The screen filled with information that made Vexithara's 6 arms tremble. Earth's atmosphere contained dozens of chemicals that would be instantly fatal to Krillians. The planet's water had industrial runoff that would dissolve Krillian shells. Even the soil was contaminated with metals and compounds that no Krillian could touch and survive. "How many humans live on this planet?" Vexthara asked. "Approximately 8 billion. 8 billion creatures live in these toxic conditions?" "Affirmative. Furthermore, They have built cities where the contamination is even higher than average. They seem to prefer living in the most polluted areas. Vexathara sat down heavily. 8 billion beings that could survive in conditions that would kill every Krillian in minutes. This wasn't just a different species. This was an entirely different category of life. Meanwhile, on the New Horizon, Park Hyunwoo was studying the Krillian ships more carefully. He had always been good at understanding how machines worked, and these alien ships were fascinating. "Captain," Hyunwoo called over the communication system, "I've been analyzing their ship design. Their life support systems are incredibly delicate." "What do you mean?" Captain Lee Dongmin asked. "Everything on their ships is designed for perfect atmospheric conditions. Look at these scans. Their air filters can't handle any contamination at all. Even tiny amounts of dust would overload their systems." Kim So-ra looked up from her analysis station. "That makes sense. If they evolved on a perfectly clean world, they probably never developed resistance to any kind of pollution." "It's more than that," Hyunwoo continued. "Their ships would probably shut down if they encountered the kind of air we breathe every day on Earth. Their technology assumes perfect conditions." This gave Lee Dongmin an idea. "Hyunwoo, can you modify our life support to produce normal Earth atmosphere conditions? You mean like the air in Seoul or Busan?" "Sure, that's easy. Our systems are designed to clean our air, but I can reverse the process and add the normal Earth pollutants." "Do it, but keep it contained to specific sections of the ship." As Hyunwoo worked, Sora continued her psychological campaign against the aliens. She had realized that the best way to terrify them was simply to tell the truth about human life. "Krillian Empire," she broadcast. "We have a question. Do your children play outside?" The response came quickly. "Of course our young ones play outside. Why do you ask?" "On Earth, our children play outside in all kinds of weather. They play in the rain even when it's slightly acidic. They build sand castles on beaches where the sand contains interesting chemicals. Sometimes they even swim in rivers near industrial areas." The silence from the Krillian ships lasted for several minutes. "Your children swim in contaminated water?" the alien voice finally asked. "Oh yes. It builds up their resistance to toxins. By the time human children become adults, they can survive in almost any environment. It's part of growing up." On the Krillian command ship, Mordesh was frantically calculating survival probabilities. "Commander, if human children can survive in toxic water, then adult humans must be nearly indestructible." "What do you mean?" "Sir, we Krillians keep our young in the purest possible environments. Even a small amount of contamination can harm a Krillian child. But if humans deliberately expose their children to toxins, it means their species has weaponized the process of growing up." Soldier Kelvar overheard this conversation. "Are you saying human children are trained to be immune to poison?" "Not trained," Mordesh replied. "They evolve resistance while they're still young. By the time they reach adulthood, they're essentially living chemical weapons." Vexathara rejoined his officers on the command deck. "I have been reviewing our situation. These humans are not what we thought they were." "What are they, Commander?" "They are survivors of a planetary apocalypse. Their world died from contamination, but instead of dying with it, they adapted to live in the ruins. They have turned environmental disaster into an evolutionary advantage." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. "Sir," Kelvar asked quietly, "what does this mean for our empire?" "It means we have encountered a species that could accidentally destroy every world we control, simply by breathing on them." On the human ship, Hyunwoo had finished his modifications. "Captain, I've created a section of the ship with normal Earth atmosphere. Want to see how the aliens react if we invite one of them aboard?" Sora heard this and got excited. "Yes, let's invite them for a diplomatic meeting." She activated the communication system. "Krillian Empire, we would like to invite a representative to visit our ship for peace talks. We can provide a safe environment for the meeting." The response was immediate and panicked. "You want us to enter your ship? The ship filled with poison gas?" "It's not poison to us. We've even improved the air quality since you gave us that gas. We think you would find it interesting." On the Krillian ship, the officers looked at each other with terror. "They want us to enter their contaminated ship," Mordesh whispered. They think we would find their toxic environment interesting. They don't understand, Vexithara realized. They genuinely don't know that what they consider normal air would kill us instantly. Should we tell them? Vexithara thought about this. If he explained how deadly humans were to his people, it might give the humans ideas about using their toxicity as a weapon. But if he didn't explain, they might accidentally kill any Krillian who came near them. Send them a message, Vexithara decided. Tell them that our biology is different and we cannot survive in their atmosphere. The human response came back quickly from Sora. Oh, we understand. Our atmosphere is probably too clean for you now. We can make it more like your ships if you want. Too clean? Mordesh stared at his instruments. They think their poisonous air is too clean for us? They have no idea, Vexithara said with growing horror. They think we're like them. They think we've adapted to live with toxins too. Kelvar made a clicking sound of fear. Commander, what if they decide to visit our worlds to help us? The thought made Vexithara feel sick. If humans visited Krillian, worlds with good intentions trying to share their technology or culture, they would accidentally contaminate everything they touched. Their mere presence would slowly poison the air, water, and soil. We need to end this encounter, Vexithara said. But we need to do it carefully. If we make them angry, they might decide to attack us. How do you attack someone who is immune? To your best weapons? Vexithara had no answer to that question. Commander Vexithara made a decision that went against every military instinct he had developed in 30 years of commanding Krillian fleets. He would personally meet with the humans, but not on their ship. Instead, he would risk bringing one of them aboard his own vessel. Science Officer Mordesh, he commanded, prepare the emergency quarantine chamber. Full isolation protocols. Sir, you're not seriously thinking of bringing a human aboard our ship? It's the only way to negotiate without accidentally starting a war we cannot win. Mordesh's 6 hands moved quickly across his control panels. Commander, even our best quarantine systems might not be enough. These creatures exhale toxins with every breath. Then we'll have to take that risk. On the New Horizon, Captain Lee Dongmin received the alien message about a meeting aboard their ship. They want to send someone to talk with us on their ship, he told his crew. But they want the meeting in something called a quarantine chamber. Park Hyunwoo looked up from his engineering station. Quarantine? Do they think we're sick? Kim So-ra had been studying the alien language patterns. I don't think they're worried about disease. I think they're worried about contamination. They might not be able to survive in any environment that isn't perfectly clean. So we're too dirty for them? Hyunwoo asked. Not dirty, So-ra corrected. Too human for them. Our normal biological processes might be toxic to their species. Captain Lee Dongmin volunteered to be the human representative. I'll go. If something goes wrong, you can get the ship away safely. Sir, let me go instead, Hyunwoo said. I understand their technology better, and if they're worried about contamination, maybe an engineer can explain that we're not trying to poison them. Lee Dongmin thought about this. Hyunwoo was right. He did understand technology better than anyone else on the ship. All right, but be careful. We still don't know what they're really capable of. An hour later, a small Krillian shuttle approached the New Horizon. Hyunwoo put on his best clean uniform and tried to wash off any extra oil stains. He wanted to make a good impression. The shuttle was beautiful in its own strange way. Everything was perfectly smooth and clean, like it had been built in a laboratory instead of a factory. When Hyunwoo stepped inside, he immediately noticed how pure the air was. It was so clean it almost hurt to breathe. Greetings, human, said the Krillian pilot through a translation device. I am Kelvar. Please do not touch anything unnecessarily. Nice to meet you, Kelvar. I'm Park Hyunwoo. Sorry if I smell bad to you. We tried to clean up as much as possible. Kelvar's hard shell shivered slightly. The human thought the problem was smell. He had no idea that just being in the same space was slowly contaminating the shuttle's air supply. The flight to the Krillian ship took only a few minutes, but those minutes felt like hours to Kelvar. He watched his air purity monitor slowly change from perfect green to yellow as the human's breath mixed with the shuttle's atmosphere. When they arrived at the command ship, Hyunwoo was amazed by its size and beauty. Everything was perfectly clean and shining. The hallways were wide and bright with air that was so pure it made his lungs tingle. "This is incredible," Hyunwoo said as they walked to the quarantine chamber. "How do you keep everything so clean?" "It is natural for us," Kelvar replied. "How do you survive in such contamination?" "Contamination? Oh, you mean Earth's atmosphere. I guess we just got used to it over time. Humans are pretty adaptable." The quarantine chamber was a clear room with its own air supply. Commander Vexthara was waiting inside, wearing what looked like a protective suit. Even through the clear walls, Hyunwoo could see that the alien commander was nervous. "Welcome to our ship, Human Park Hyunwoo," Vexthara said through speakers, in the wall. "Forgive the barriers, but our biologies are very different." Hyunwoo sat down in the chair provided for him. Even this simple action made Vexthara step back slightly. The human's movement stirred the air, and tiny amounts of contamination from his clothing and skin began to spread through the quarantine chamber. "I understand," Hyunwoo said. "Our diplomat Kim Sora explained that you need very clean environments. We don't want to make you sick." "Sick?" Vexthara was surprised. "You think we are concerned about disease? Aren't you? I mean, you put me in quarantine." Vexthara realized the human truly didn't understand. "Park Hyunwoo, we are not concerned about disease. We are concerned about poison." "Poison? But I'm not carrying any weapons or chemicals." "You are the weapon," Vexthara said quietly. "Your breath, your skin, even your clothing carries levels of toxins that would kill my people instantly." Hyunwoo stared at the alien commander. "Are you serious? Just being near me could kill you?" "Yes. The air you exhale contains chemicals that would destroy our respiratory systems. The oils from your skin contain heavy metals that would poison our blood. Even the fabric of your clothing has been exposed to contamination that would contaminate our ships." For the first time, Hyunwoo began to understand what humans really were from an alien perspective. "So when you used that gas on us, we were trying to use our most powerful weapon. Instead, we accidentally gave you something that reminded you of home." Hyunwoo sat back in his chair, thinking. "Commander Vexthara, I need to tell you something. Humans aren't trying to be dangerous. We didn't choose to live with pollution. It just happened because we made mistakes. But you adapted to survive it." "Yes, we did. And now I understand why you're so afraid of us. But we're not monsters. We're just trying to survive and explore space like you are." Vexthara studied the human through the clear barrier. Despite everything, this creature seemed genuinely peaceful. It was not trying to threaten or intimidate. It was simply existing, unaware of how terrifying that existence was to other species. "Park Hyunwoo," Vexthara said. "What would your people do if they knew how dangerous they are to us?" Hyunwoo thought about this carefully. "Honestly, most humans would probably try to help you. We'd want to find ways to interact safely, maybe develop better containment systems or find ways to reduce our toxicity. You would change yourselves to accommodate us?" "Of course. That's what humans do. We solve problems." Vexthara made a decision that would change the relationship between the two species forever. "Then let me propose a treaty. Your people will stay away from Krillian space and we will stay away from human space. Not because we are enemies, but because contact between us is too dangerous for my people." "But we could work together," Hyunwoo protested. "We could find solutions." "Perhaps someday," Vexthara agreed. "When your people have developed better containment technology, or when my people have developed better resistance to contamination. But for now, it is safer if we remain apart." Hyunwoo nodded sadly. "I understand, but can we at least stay in communication? Maybe trade scientific information?" "Yes. We can exchange data from a safe distance. Your species' ability to survive in toxic conditions might help us clean up industrial accidents. And our clean technology might help you repair your home world." The meeting lasted another hour as they worked out the details of their agreement. When Hyunwoo finally returned to the New Horizon, he brought with him the strangest peace treaty in human history, an agreement to stay away from each other for everyone's safety. Captain Lee Dong-min listened to Hyunwoo's report with amazement. So we're so tough that we're accidentally dangerous? Basically, yes, sir. They think we're the most terrifying species in the galaxy, and we didn't even know it. Kim So-ra smiled as she filed her diplomatic report. I'm going to recommend new first contact protocols. From now on, when we meet alien species, we should start by apologizing for our environmental disasters. Apparently, they make us scarier than any weapon. As the Krillian fleet departed, Vexithara sent one final message to the humans. Species of Earth, you have taught us something important today. Survival itself can be a form of strength. We will remember this encounter and speak of your people with respect. Hyunwoo watched the alien ships disappear into faster-than-light travel. Then he took a deep breath of the ship's recycled air and smiled. Still not as bad as Beijing during monsoon season, he muttered to himself. The New Horizon began its journey home, carrying the story of humanity's strangest first contact, the day they discovered that their greatest weakness was actually their greatest strength, and that sometimes the most terrifying thing about humans is simply that they refuse to give up, no matter how bad things get.